Hi, and welcome to this episode of I've Got This Kid. I'm your host, Dr. Sharina Williams, licensed speech and language pathologist, homeschooling mom of two, and wife of one, here to share everything speech, language, play, development, homeschooling, and parent education, and all the other stuff that falls in between. It is an honor and a privilege to be here today. I hope you listened to and shared my last episode, Finding the Perfect Fit SLP. It was power-packed with lots of information, tools, and tips to help you along the way when finding a speech and language pathologist, but also refreshing a little bit if you have one, kind of, revitalizing that relationship. If you haven't checked it out, please take the time to do so. Now today, we're going to talk parent ed. And I'm not talking about the turn or burn stuff or pulling out textbooks or doing all kinds of things that really aren't necessarily relevant to you and your parenting needs. I'm talking about getting into the know and becoming an ally, not only for your little sugar, but also with your team that you're partnering with on this journey. And so I'm going to really talk about, as we get started, the role of the SLP. And it does tie in with parent education. So bear with me, right? Think about an octopus. Octopus has 8 arms and they're using those arms to do all kinds of things. That's us. We are leading treatment. We're planning treatment. We're writing reports. We might be chasing after a little sugar who's running off. We might be observing. We might be mentoring. Like, we do so many things. And that's not even including advocating and dealing with insurance and having meetings and collaborating with teachers and collaborating with doctors and collaborating with the collaboration of the collaboration that collaborated somewhere out there in this world. My point is that in addition to those things, we're also the counselor. We're also mediating. We're also delegating and directing. And not to say that we don't love our job. Let me tell you, we love our job. There's just a lot of stuff to do that most people don't know what goes on behind the scene. They just think that we come, we play, we have fun, and we go. No, it doesn't work like that. And so, I have to say that as we live our lives as octopus, to my fellow SLPs, high five out there, because we are taking on a lot. And it's not a bad thing, because most SLPs are in love with what they do. There are not too many who don't love this work. So we really want to make sure that not only are we as the clinician addressing our closing the gaps, right? We have to make sure that we're treating families, but we also have to rely on cheerleading for the families and becoming allies for the family and advocating for families and supporting the families to ensure that not only do they feel good about what's going on, but they're feeling supported in this journey. And not only are they feeling supported, they understand not only what they're supposed to do, but they understand in general what's taking place and why things are taking place with their child, like with their little sugar. It's not enough for us to say, hey, there's these gaps and that's kind of and these are the goals. You as the world changer need to be educated. Us as the clinician honestly need you to be educated so you can understand your role, but also understand what's going on with your little sugar so you're not misinterpreting their behavior for rejection, or interpreting their behavior for being bad, or interpreting their behavior for something negative, or wondering if they're taking in anything that you're saying, like, will my child even ever learn, right? And so we want to make sure that as the SLP that we're doing our part to make sure that you know everything that you need to know. But there are a few inherent issues with that that take place. We, as the clinicians, we're making these goals for you guys, and it's based on what we've observed. Like, it really is hard work going into looking at what we're observing and trying to come up with a conclusion to support. But we need to understand, we need to make sure that you're understanding what we know from our lens. And that doesn't mean that you're going to do our job, but we need to know from your lens what it is that you need in order to be successful, beyond us coaching you to just work on goals and without you just watching us provide treatment to your little sugar. I hope this is all making sense, because this is a newish idea, right? What does it look like for you to get the knowledge that you need in order to get to where you need to go? And why knowledge? Why not just kind of, I fix it and you move on? Well, I only get an hour maybe with your little sugar out of a whole week. It's going to make some progress. It's just going to be sluggish progress. And so, by us providing the knowledge that you need, not only does it provide you hope, because now you understand what's going on and you're hopeful for what's coming next, right? You understand what the progress is supposed to look like. And not only that, but you're empowered to see your sugar beyond that diagnosis. Because sometimes we hear the diagnosis and we characterize our little sugar as the diagnosis, but it's not, they're not that. It's just a part of them. Just like there are parts of you, there are parts of them, and multiple parts that make them a whole person. And so understanding and having that knowledge really helps you see them for them. But it also gives that space to give you time to really think about and process what's going on. Ask questions, even if they seem silly to you. They're not going to be silly to us at all. Like, you really want that knowledge so you can ask questions about what's next, because you don't want to really go into things thinking that it's going to be a certain way and it may be completely off, right? And we also want to make sure that we're debunking any myth that you may have picked up on social media or on YouTube or just along the way, or based on one person's experience becomes everybody's experience, because that usually isn't the case. My husband always tells me, hey, remember, keep in mind before you read that Yelp review, like, usually people Yelp when they're mad, not when they've had amazing service. People are doing a little better now, but I do take to heart what he says, and you should do the same. Like, really think about what people are reporting and if it's 100% true, or is it just venting? Like, are there factual things, right? So we want to be careful about what we accept as truth. And then another reason that we want to make sure that you're getting the knowledge is because it reestablishes the parent-child bond, right? Knowing what's going on. If you were feeling rejected because your sugar won't play, or they won't talk to you, or they won't engage with you, or they behave and hit you instead of talking to you or trying to talk to you, that parent-child bond can be established if you understand, and if the parent understands why it is this behavior is taking place. Why is this taking place? Oh, it's not because my little sugar doesn't like me. It is because this is how they behave, right? And so we benefit on our end as clinicians, because then you understand language development when we provide you the information, at least the information that's relevant to you, right? You understand what's going on and what's supposed to be going on. But then with that, it makes our the people that we serve more equipped to be able to serve outside of those clinical hours. And so that means that they're able to carry over because they know exactly what they're looking for and what's going on there. And most importantly, and this is my favorite, honestly, it's my favorite, is that it reduces stress and builds confidence. Reducing stress and building confidence is a game changer. Stress is a killer. And I do not like for families to be stressed. I don't like for anyone to have that feeling of the unknown, and just feeling like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know what I don't know what in the what. And so just being wise about knowing that as we're equipping them and we're empowering them with knowledge, then stress can honestly it can go away as it relates to language development. I can't help all the other stuff, but as it relates to language development. And so one of the hardest things about understanding as a clinician, and mind you, if you notice, I'm talking to parents and professionals in this episode because it's almost like an elephant in the room when talking about this stuff, because it's accountability on both parties' ends, and we need to like come together for something a little bit better than what we're doing right now. And for the ones who are doing it, please don't send me an email. Like, good job. I'm proud of you. Really, I am. Thank you. So effective tools. We as the providers need effective tools. One of the hardest things for me as a clinician was I did not have great tools beyond coaching. And coaching is important. And there's so much research and literature around coaching that it has been proven again and again and again. We don't need to prove it no more. Like, coaching works, do it. Yeah, yay. But there's something that is left out of coaching. And that really does come into like the knowledge that's separated from the goal, like the knowledge before the goal. As soon as there's identification, I honestly think that's when education and knowledge needs to come in. But the tools are not necessarily there. And the system is not necessarily designed to provide tools while parents are waiting for therapy, while parents are starting therapy, because it's usually identify, evaluate, create a treatment plan, report, right? Treat, evaluate again, and follow that system. But there's nothing really written in there outside of theory that provides a tool that really says, hey, do this. There's even been some really reasonable, like, coach at home, like parents watch this SLP, coach at home, and that's cool too. Like, there is definitely a space for that. So it's nothing against any of that. It's just in addition to. But again, we don't have enough time on our hands most of the time because, again, think octopus. Like, I have 25 arms doing 25 things, and it's not always easy to fit that in and talk that much. But I'm also a believer that if we're creating evidence-based materials on the front end, then, and they're systematic, then it makes a lot of sense as to how this can be embedded and implemented into everyday treatment. But the tools that we need, and this is just from my vantage point, being a clinician, having that experience, talking to clinicians, talking to other people who are in the field and not clinicians that work in early intervention, but the education needs to be there. The talking points need to be there. The discussion points need to be there, but there also needs to be a curriculum that's there that's kind of getting us through so we can all turn to page XYZ and talk about this, or whatever question is being asked can be addressed appropriately. Like, it really does matter that much. And so these topics, not only should they target goals, but they should target development. They should target behavior. It should target real life stuff that families are experiencing, not based on goals, but in reality. And so if you are observing that little Charlie is throwing a chair across the room every time he enters that preschool classroom, then we need to be talking about little Charlie throwing that chair every time he walks into that preschool classroom, and the why that's behind it. So we're not labeling little Charlie. And please, I hope there's no little Charlie's parents listening to this. I don't know no little Charlie. I just want you guys to know that's throwing chairs. I just want you to know that's the first name that came to my mind. That is not a very popular name, but it's the first name that came to my mind. Anyway, I digress. But we need to make sure that they're understanding that behavior that's happening in real time, and they're able to, as the world changer, as the parent, to put a label to that behavior. Or is little Charlie just, having his tantrum moment because you told him to eat his peas or to pick up his toys off the floor? Like, is it behavior because of language, or is it behavior because it's behavior, or is it behavior? Like, identifying what's going on, but providing that knowledge around it can be different things that are happening, so parents can feel more confident and more equipped to being able to isolate the situation in real time and provide the tools, those amazing coaching strategies that you're providing them, and marry that stuff together, right? And so providing these kinds of tools, not only is it like that's my win dance, right? It's a win-win for everyone. We want to make sure that we're winning and that we don't feel like our parents are not participating and they're not well-meaning or they're not carrying out the stuff that we're asking them to do. A lot of times they might not know, or it might just be that education that's the missing piece for them to really buy into all of our hard work. Because honestly, I think from my experience, not only clinically, but when running research on parent education, when I provide the education on the front end, I have a lot less work on the back end to do, because just taking that extra step makes sure that parents are feeling really good about, and then referring back to information that they've learned along the way. And so it really does like change the game, and it's best practice right now to provide parent education. And so we want to see our families tooled up. We want to see that our families are able to not only understand, but provide like physical support. So we want them to be knowledgeable, but we also want them to have that support, and we want them to be more engaged in this process, but we also want them to be more engaged with their child. It's kind of like us going to the doctor and the doctor telling us to take a pill, but we have no clue why. Or they just say, it is this, it is a high blood pressure, right? That's your diagnosis, a high blood pressure. But outside of having a high blood pressure, you really don't know what it is that it entails, or what is the long-term implications of the hubba, right? It's the same thing. If they don't know, then they're less willing to buy in and become more engaged, or they might just think that that's our job and not their job, or they don't see where they fit and how they fit, or even again feeling ill-equipped to provide any support because they're not the professional. No, they're not, but we can give them the knowledge to make them feel a little bit more comfortable with what they know and how to do. And then that makes them more receptive to coaching strategies and reasons that we're asking them to do the stuff that we're asking them to do. World changers. I'm telling you, our role is no joke. And providers, I know you guys are out there working so hard to make sure that our little sugars are getting what they need. Like those little toddlers, they're just cute. And you just, I don't know, like it's hard to see to see things from my lens and feeling like, hey, we can probably fill this gap to where the parents aren't feeling so rejected, or just so whatever it is that comes along with that. And maybe they're not feeling any of the feelings that I mentioned, but maybe they just want to know for the sake of knowing, right? And so we want to be those advocates, and we don't want to force everybody into a 6-year degree or a 4-year degree to feel like they know what they know. I've heard countless times of parents feeling like, well, I'm just going to go to school to learn it. And I'm like, but maybe we should be doing a better job teaching it. And that's on us. But again, it's really hard to take on yet another task. But I promise you, like, if we can provide that support to the whole family and provide whole family support, I think it would be a game changer in the clinical outcomes. Actually, I've seen it. I've seen it through research that it really is a game changer in outcomes. If you want to know more about that, go to my website. There is research there that talks about, hey, when you provide parents knowledge, everything else changes. It's crazy in a beautiful way. And so we can do this, you guys. I'll have to say, if you're looking for an amazing program that can help you along the way, I did create Home Goals Parent Education Program. It is on the website, and there is plans for parents to where parents can just buy a single plan, but there's also plans for us as clinicians to where if we need to, get this out to multiple families, so you're not taking on that extra role and you can trust that it's me providing that information. Look, I'm here for you and I'm happy to do it. I love this work. And so let's partner together, y'all. That's all I got today. That's all I have today. I hope this episode wasn't too heavy. I really do. But I do know that, again, it's kind of like the elephant in the room. Like, we got to talk about it and cut off an arm, maybe, along the way. Huh? Yeah? No? Whatever. Anyway, join me next time, y'all, where I'm going to talk parent stress. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, the real question is parent stress real in regards or in relationship to developmental delays? I can't wait to give you the answer on that one. You're going to be like, wait, what? Yeah, no, for real. Yeah. Check it out 2 weeks from now, y'all. Okay. It's interesting what parents are sharing and what they got to say. Parents don't suffer no fools. They want to be honest and they want help. And so that's why we're here, right? Transcripts and show notes are available. Join my community. You can find me on where can you find me? You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can go to questions or email me at questions@I'veGotThisKid.com. You probably find me quicker via email than you would on social media, but I am doing better. I'm trying, y'all. You can also subscribe and ask questions in the YouTube channel under the reply. Like if you have a question, please feel free. I am happy to address it. Like, subscribe, tell a friend about the show, or 10. I'm happy to be back, y'all. Until the next time, take care.